Welcome to the Brothers and Sisters podcast. This is what's coming up next, so stay tuned.
When you aren't allowed to have gay friends, when you're not allowed to have gay role models, where, growing up, everyone talks about Martin Luther King, everyone talks about Malcolm X, but no one really talked about James Baldwin. And he was there documenting everything and saying some of the most prolific shit that we're now just catching up to now that it's okay.
I got no problem with this shit.
So we're here, guest with this week's guest, Naeem. He was just talking about the Uyghurs and China and the slave labor, which of course piggybacks off of our last segment with Michael B. Jordan. I think it gets tough, Naeem, to your point, when you talk about clothing or apparel, because everything we're wearing is generally made because it's super cheaply by people that are being paid, if not slave wages, like below a living wage without, right? So I think the focus on China is political now. A lot. Some of it is racist because of, the pandemic. Some of it's political because Republicans are out of office and they want like a foreign enemy. But a lot of it is real as far as what it would take to get Black people not to buy those things, because one of the things that you talked about in upholding culture, we're consumers, right? Tommy Hilfiger loved us buying his shit, but he didn't want to have anything to do with us, right? Like it's things like that. We buy things from people who don't necessarily have our best interests in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just think it's important for, as we're like so engaged in this kind of like cancel culture, for lack of a better term, and just like really policing each other's behavior and how we participate in selling products, for us to understand that we are all part of the system that is supporting these institutions, right?
Sure.
And I'd much rather see African Americans be up in arms about the forced work that's happening in China with the Uyghur population as they are about Michael B. Jordan naming his liquor Juve. So I think that it's a mistake that needs to be addressed, but for it to be so harshly policed when there are other worse crimes, capitalist crimes happening around us all the time that we support, as African Americans who constantly have slavery and being ancestors of, having our ancestors be slaves on our mind and part of our spirit all the time. We need to make better choices and when we support, like the capitalist system and engage in consumerism, I think it's a lot more that we can do as consumers to prevent some of the things that have happened to us and our ancestors from happening today.
Piggybacking on that, as an artist, as a creator, does that go into your art? Do you think about, the capitalist aspect of I gotta sell versus the message that you have? Or is it, I got a contract, I've got to be X and Y. So no matter what it is that I think, this is what I got to put out there?
No, that's why I'm poor, like I'm poor. I just don't engage in I don't engage in the music industry as someone who's trying to commodify myself and my personality. I make music I like to make, and I finish projects and I put them out, and hopefully I get some attention. And the attention I get from it is small, but it's fun.
Has it always been like that, or did you have an experience where you're like, I'm just gonna do this for me?
No, it's always been like that. Cause I don't really fuck with nobody, I don't like the way a lot of institutions are set up. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just trying to spend my life like as freely as possible, so whenever I feel like the pressure coming down from people who invested in my music, or the pressure from the consumer to put out more music or to put up more Instagram photos or stories, I just don't do it. And I paid a price for that. And I'm just a starving artist, and it's fine.
Nah. So talk about, obviously we go way back. For people who don't know, Naeem, me and Naeem started going to school together in what, third grade? That was like
Yeah.
third. Sean and Naeem know each other even longer than that. I can attest to you not fucking with institutions. Like, I think we both can for sure. But at, how do I put this? At one point, like, you were, how do you call it? An it artist, a splash artist, kind of sort of, he's that next thing. Are you saying
Yeah.
that only still on your own terms, still doing what you wanted to do and people just fucked with it more? Or was there that, hey, you need to do this in order for that to happen?
I mean, it's like, it's really complicated. But one of the things that created that it moment and my participation in that was something I wasn't aware of. You know, I wasn't aware that like a lot of independent music publications are always looking for the next new thing.
Yeah.
You know, I always assumed that like if I saw someone on a magazine cover, then they legitimately like deserve to be there, you know, and they would have a long career and people would follow them and listen to them. But the way that the industry's set up is they don't really care like if you can put out another album next year. They're just looking for the new story, the hot story as it's coming out. And some artists are lucky enough to be able to ride that wave and create a really solid fan base. But like for me, I wasn't able to keep that wave going. It was just like, it was really hot. I had a lot of fun. I was traveling all around the world. I got some magazine covers, you know, I got some famous friends, you know, I did some really cool stuff. And then it's back on the grind being like, okay, can you do this again? And can you do this again? I was really surprised when I put out my last album and it got written up in the New York Times. I thought that was over for me, you know? I was really surprised to be able to work with Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. I was really surprised to do an interview with Moses Sumney, who's one of my favorite, you know, artists right now. All those things are really surprising to me because I'm supposed to be like gone, you know, like I had my time, you know, so like it's kind of cool to see on my third album that I can still get some attention without being like locked into the music industry itself.
Please jump in, other people, because me and this man go way back. So I'll just keep asking questions. So everybody else, co-hosts, we jump in if you have them. If not, I'll keep going.
Keep going.
You still talk with Jeff?
Jeff?
Barlow.
Yeah, Barlow, of course, man.
That was one of the, so start us there. So it's 2002, 2003, and you're like, we're in Philadelphia. Like, I'm going to random spots where they're like, yeah, like, you know, Naeem's gonna be there, Spankbot's gonna be there, or whatever. And like, I'm walking to house parties just packed. This is wild. They're packed. They're over in University City. They're overwhelmingly Caucasian. Like, it seems like you crossed over from jump. Like, Black people fuck with you because you were Black. But like, it was like the music, like the whole feeling that you had was basically driven by like young white kids. As somebody from West Baltimore who grew up on North and Long, like, how did you process that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I never felt like Black people fuck with my music. Like, you know, it's like,
Maybe it's Black people
like,
that you just know then, yeah.
it's kind of weird hearing you like ask these questions as if like, you know, my music career is like worthy of like, you know, being presented this way. This is like really underground culture. This is underground culture. For that time, it was only the coolest kids. It was people like seeking out interesting and like, you know, like not like underground music. You know, like my first label was a young, like small British label. You know, it has no connection to Philadelphia, no connection to Baltimore, no connection to American music. So like having it be all my crowds being mostly white kids was because that was the culture. During that time, there weren't too many Black kids that were into like, I mean, experimental hip hop music.
That's what
You
my
know?
next question is. What would you call it? What would you
What would
call it? There was like
what would
some
I call it?
Baltimore club. There was some like, I don't know, rock house elements to it. Like what? How would you describe your music?
Yeah, me and Alex Epton, we were mixing a lot of post-punk 1980s, like no wave, Baltimore club music, and influenced by like the Neptunes and Dizzy Rascal. You know, so this is like, so you got what was happening in hip hop in London, underground London scene, had pop influence and the Neptunes were doing. Then you had all these like old songs that we were referencing, and then you had all the Baltimore stuff. That's what I knew the best, you know, what I grew up with.
No one else, guys. This can't quasi naive conversation. Somebody, somebody.
It's not you. You're very interesting, Naeem. Honestly, it's, I said this, I'm old, so I get tired.
Well,
But
no,
what
like,
was interesting, you mentioned also about talking about different levels of maturity as you navigated your identity. So I just wanted to know what the reception has been when you began as an artist to where you are today, and any way you wanted to find that.
yeah, I guess like I think it's like oh man, I don't know, like it's weird trying to create something that like hasn't been created before, because like you have these moments where like, especially with the first album and being like this kind of like fashiony, like hip in New York downtown or New York Brooklyn scene, it was so niche that we had all the fashion industry there. So then we started having like people like Kanye show up to shows and things like that, and then you start seeing the speed at which all of those artists can be influenced by you and produce something and push it, right? So like a lot of the things that, you know, were, you could watch like an artist like Kanye be champion for, you know, all of the things that were like weird were things that like, you know, me and my friends had been doing for years, you know, but he was able to kind of like take it and move with it. You know, like I think he said something like, I was the first rapper to wear skinny jeans or something like that. He was like, I invented the skinny jean. I don't know, some shit like that. And we're all just like cracking up, being like, no, it was all the Black punks in Brooklyn. You know, it was bands like TV on the Radio that were dressing up like rockers that we were influenced by, and then for that's trickling up to Kanye to be able to make that his brand and exploit it. So like I think the funny thing for me is just kind of like watching the way waves go in culture. Like even with like starting out rapping like a lot of like sexy hetero music when I was younger, and then experimenting with my sexuality, becoming gay, and then not having any gay people around me at all. That like once the young gay kids saw that, then all of a sudden you get more young gay rappers. You know, if I wasn't opening out and doing my stuff, you know, there wouldn't be this new wave of like people like Leaf or Cakes the Killer or Mickey Blanco. I had Big Frida on her album, like 7-something years before Drake sampled it, you know. So that's like the waves that I see when you're really trying to like crack culture open. You know, you're trying to like, I think I'm just trying to make sure that people have a space to like truly be free, you know. And so I'm just kind of like happy to see that like there's so many like young Black kids who are happy to be out, you know, which then makes it easier for all the young trans kids to be happy to like be like, I'm going through this. Y'all was leaving them behind. Y'all was leaving them like, you know, without a voice, in the shadows, hidden, you know, no support. And I think that my role through the whole thing was to say like, hey, like this is something that needs to be expressed in Black culture. Black culture is a little bit stunted. It's too attached to the church. It's too attached to these like really oppressive forces in capitalism. And so like, I think my role the whole time was just to kind of like be an inspiration to like break out of that.
You talked about, you used the word becoming gay. You're saying that like it's something that you discovered about yourself? It wasn't always with you, or quote unquote born that way. It's something that you became, or do you think it was always with you and it was just, you know, suppressed because of how we grew up or our background?
Yeah, it's really hard to like really pinpoint that. I think about like a friend of mine like gave me the book Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin.
Yeah.
And it's about this guy, this young white guy who grows up in New York. He goes to Spain with his girlfriend, or goes to France with his girlfriend. His girlfriend then goes to Spain, and he has this moment where he starts like, he meets this guy that he starts having a relationship with. And Baldwin describes it as like something like almost like a beast awakening, you know, inside of the character. And that was the first time that I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of similar to like how I felt about my sexuality. Because I didn't kind of grow up, I didn't feel closeted when I grew up. I really believed that I was heterosexual. But the thing is that like, when you aren't allowed to have gay friends, when you're not allowed to have gay role models, where, you know, growing up, everyone talks about Martin Luther King, everyone talks about Malcolm X, but no one really talked about James Baldwin. And he was there documenting everything and saying some of the most prolific shit that we're now just catching up to now that it's okay. What's up?
Bayard Rustin.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Bayard Rustin.
Oh wait, who's that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, they gave the architects of pretty much all of it that was pushed to the background because, well, not only was he gay, he was a communist also. So the Martin Luther King Jr., he was a speechwriter. He organized the March on Washington. Talking about what you're getting to, pretty much the civil rights movement as we know it was pretty much orchestrated by a lot of women, a lot of LGBT, and a shit ton of like socialists and communists. And it was kind of sort of hijacked by the Southern. Not that there wasn't a role, not that they didn't play a role, because obviously they did, because a lot of shit was happening in the South, but kind of sort of, I mean, we use the word appropriated by Southern church men, right? That's who we know. That's like who are at the forefront. That's who we think about it. But Bayard Rustin, he's right there. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so like, you know, when you're kind of going through life and you have all these like gay icons being hidden from you or pushed to the sidelines, you don't even have a moment to even, unless you know that your sexuality is a homosexual sexuality, unless you know that you feel like you were born the wrong gender from the very moment you're alive, you don't have these opportunities to even like put yourself on you know, a spectrum. Everything's very binary. You know, so like, even if there were moments when I was younger where I felt like I was attracted to a guy, I wouldn't remember those moments because it was like, it just didn't happen. You just didn't, that shit didn't happen. But once, you know, I moved to Philadelphia and I started having gay friends, and I started realizing how real, you know, these people are. They're not just like these weird characters that nobody sees or knows that are like evil and will come catch you or get you, you know. Once you like come face to face with like LGBTQ culture, you start being like, everything becomes normalized. It starts all making sense. Like, of course this guy will be attracted to a guy. Like, what, like, why wouldn't he? Why would that be wrong? Why would that be uncomfortable? So that's what it was like. That's what an awakening felt like to me. It was just kind of like, once I was around that culture, once my friendships expanded, then my opportunities to be attracted to whoever went to expanded. So then it was like, I was bi for a really long time. And then until I was like, I just want to be with guys. Very natural, very slow progression.
Along those lines, what does pride mean to you?
Pride is like a weird word to me in general. Like, I kind of don't understand like Black pride, white pride, gay pride. I think it's really weird for people to be prideful of something that they have no control over, something that they don't get to choose. I like to be more proud of things that I work for. I'm very proud of the fact that like didn't that I didn't stunt my growth. I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to challenge myself and put myself into new situations. I'm very proud that I didn't experience shame, you know? That's what I'm proud of. But to just be like proud to be Black, I have no choice in that. I'm proud that I'm not ashamed to be Black, you know? I'm proud that I was able, as a Black person, able to work and break through all of the obstacles that were in my way, you know? But to just be proud of something that you don't have any say in is kind of weird to me on all levels, you know?
Well, that's interesting. So we've had 3 other guests this month that that kind of sort of talked about, you know, their experience, right? Whether they were Violet Gray, who the trans comic, she's talked about, you know, how that affected her comedy, and then how she kind of sort of felt, you know, what it was like to be a woman after she fully transitioned. We had Ranty Olase, who's Nigerian. And so they're, you know, Nigerian, you know, they kill you for being gay, right? And he went from Nigeria to New York City, where he was like, oh, like I had no idea, like I could be this free and this accepted. And then we had Joe Whittingham, who's a fashion designer, who's just like, yeah, like he's from like a kind of sort of intellectual Black family. They were Jamaican, but it was like, yeah, we kind of see that you're gay, like it's all good, right? So I think you're kind of saying that as far as Pride Month, as far as, you know, this month being Pride, like, you know, kind of sort of celebration of everything LGBTQ, you don't really see a need to quote unquote celebrate it because you didn't really have any control over the identity. Is that right?
I think it's like, personally, I don't have a connection to it, but like, I'm so happy that pride exists. It's a revolution. That's how the gay revolution started. It started because the gay clubs in New York were underground and secret and private, and the cops came in and pushed them out onto the streets. So as these people were trying to hide and keep their sexuality very personal, which, you know, it is, they said, fuck that. You want us out in the streets, so we're gonna stay out in these streets. Yeah. That is so revolutionary. That's where pride extends from. I'm so happy that, you know, Martha P. Johnson, who was a Black trans woman, was able to spark that revolution off for everybody. And it's grown to a point where it's grown now. I think it's very important for people to be visible and tell their stories. So I'm not saying that it's not important. It's one of the most important things that can happen. It's just as far as I'm concerned, like I'm proud that I'm not ashamed of myself, you know, but I'm not proud just because I was born into this body. I have no choice. I didn't work for that, you know. It's just what I was given, you know.
Anybody else?
How did you avoid getting sucked into capitalism? Right, the music industry is very attractive. There's always how did you not get sucked into, like you said, music everybody wants to hear versus making music that you want to make?
How did you not get sucked into capitalism?
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It's just, I'm obviously a capitalist to some point, right? Like, but like, I don't know. I wish I was more of a capitalist, to be honest. Like, I wish that I was driven. I wish that I was driven by like making money, but I'm just like, it just doesn't motivate me. So I can't really like, I can't make music if I'm thinking, oh, this song has to make me a lot of money. Then I just won't do it.
Yeah. Do you think that thinking about the money interferes with your creative process, and that's why you
like thinking about the money means I have to make a product that is going to be successful commercially, right? So I have to pay attention to trends. And so that means I'm doing something that then I don't necessarily want to do. So I would have to like decide that I want to make a hit record. But right now, all I do is think about like what I want to like express, I guess. It's very like, it's just very juvenile and hippy dippy and,
No,
you know, it's just
I don't
like,
think so. I mean, I don't think it's juvenile or hippy dippy. It just seems like you are more so of a true artist because you care about the product you put out more than how well it's received.
Always had a low tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
No, I really respect that. And I get it. Like I have, you know, my best friend is a singer and a songwriter, and she thinks similarly to you. She makes music that she loves. And if other people happen to like it, great. And she's worked for years and established a fan base, but it's not necessarily the biggest, most commercial type fan base, but she's cultivated a great group of fans because these people genuinely are like with her and down for her music, not, you know, looking for the next big thing, like you mentioned. So I think it's cool.
yeah, I hope I can make some money sometime. It's like,
you never know.
It's getting old.
You just never know. That's the coolest thing I think about being an artist. You're not looking for it sometimes, and then boom. So it happens.
Yeah.
Right, Sean?
Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
I was reading the chat. You saying about.
Oh, bye.
Yeah, we get this fucking money, no doubt.
Yes, I'm like, okay, got actor here, musician. Sometimes it's just, you know.
Well, you burnt out your own.
I burnt out my sister. Yeah, I don't think she was ready for I told her it was like 9:30 to like 11, but I guess we're going on midnight now. But
yeah.
I don't think she knows how far back we go with this guy. So it's just gonna be it'll be all good. Jason can approach it in when he's producing this piece.
Yeah.
When we were talking about that, it brings me to my next thing. How personal is your content, is your likeness to you? Well, when we were going through this back and forth about coming on, you were insisting, you're like, I want to see it before it goes out, but for sure. Is that the artist in you? Is that just you personally? Like, how protective are you of your content, your image, etc.?
I don't know, I don't know. I'm probably the same as you guys are. I just want to be proud of the things that I'm a part of and do. That's no big deal. You out of here, Nicole?
Yeah,
good night, Nicole.
I feel like it's like
yeah, 4 niggas and one of y'all. What's up?
First of all, I have no problem being the only chick in the room. That has been my life. So I'm very comfortable.
The brothers and sisters are now just the brother and a sister. That's okay. Brothers and
you know how many times I've heard guys say Autumn's my boy?
Wow,
a little nigga right here.
Sean always calls me his little nigga.
That's fucked up.
It really touched my heart the first time he said it. We were out and he just put his hands on my shoulder and he was like, "Big sis, you my little nigga." I was like, "Oh,
Sean." After Philly, did you go straight to LA?
No, I went to Minneapolis for a year.
Minnesota.
It was cold. Trying to act like I was Prince.
Right?
And then you went from Minnesota to LA?
Yeah.
And your impressions are, I know you told me, but your impression of LA, where you are with LA now?
It's just weird, man. It's just so sprawled out and suburban. I'm used to being able to walk, places, and I don't know. It's weird, man. It's hot. They got like 3 seasons. It's like spring, summer, and then like fire. It's just like
literally fire, right?
Spring, summer, and hail.
yeah. So it's strange out here, but it's fun. It's, you know, it's a lot of people have moved out here, so I got a lot of friends and support out here.
Sure.
I miss the East Coast though.
Yeah, the latest project. You want to talk about it?
Not necessarily.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I mean, people just all the old people were bowing out. So, do you want to leave us with anything, man? Song, anything like message, anything like that?
I don't know. I'm so happy that you guys invited me to come be part of like Pride Month, because I don't get invited to do anything like in Pride. So that's this is the first, so that's really cool. And also it's just dope to be like, you know, to stay connected to everyone in Baltimore. It's still like the most inspiring place I ever lived in.
What's up, bro?
All the songs in my last album were just me like thinking about Baltimore. So it's cool to like, I want to be a part of it, because I know I don't come around. I don't come around a lot, you know. So
I was gonna say, when's the last time you've been back? When's the last time you were back in Baltimore?
Well, when I'm back, I usually see Sean, because Sean will step out of, you know.
Talk you, my nigga. So, was it the Santa Gold? Was that did you come home after that, or? That was Silver Spring, though. That wasn't Baltimore.
Yeah, you went to a concert. I remember you said like a year or two ago, right?
Yeah, that was Silver Spring, though.
Yeah, Silver Spring. But you know, I don't like going around to those old stomping grounds and the old alma maters and shit like that.
They no longer exist, sir. We're just old now. People are just old now. They no longer exist for sure.
That's great. That's great.
I mean,
they tore down the Paradox, man.
Yo, they tore it down. I know it closed. I thought they was gonna open it back up eventually. But I remember the close.
The bridge.
That's sad, man. That's
good
sad.
Times, man. Good times in there.
When they moved Hammers, that was the end of it, bro. When they moved Hammers.
I know, man. I never got to go to Hammer Jacks. I was too small. I was too little. I couldn't get in there.
Damn.
So I looked like I was 12. I was 18.
Yeah.
I went to both. The first was better. The first was always better.
They like relocated it, right?
Then they moved it, right?
Yeah,
but
that
the bridge, you know, Choices was always around the corner. You know, you got Hammers and the docks. You know, those are good old days.
Yeah, if
Baltimore's got a lot of
characters. For Sean and Greg, I would have never gotten into the docks.
But no,
Docks was traumatizing.
Yeah, it was.
That shit was awesome. Remember Trilogies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was Sean Caesar's residence right there. Trilogies, wasn't it? Wasn't Sean Caesar? For me, my fondest memory of Baltimore is going to Mondawmin to Metro 2, getting the next DJ Movie Club tape. That was my shit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Say 2 again.
People,
I say the right way.
our listeners, our younger listeners gonna be like, what the hell are they talking about?
92Q, you know, y'all.
92Q. What is the kids still listen to the radio now? I don't even think they listen to the radio anymore, right?
I don't think so.
I don't listen to the radio.
But my favorite story to tell is at the Heidi Klossman bar mitzvah when she had Miss Tony.
I was there.
My God.
We was all there, right?
I was there.
You was there, what?
Yes.
That shit was like, that's why I don't know how I act right now. That's why I grew up.
No, Naeem. Not the first bar mitzvah when she had a little 8th grade house party and my mother came to pick us up late.
I heard this story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, everybody, that was my night.
Yeah.
But she had Miss Tony. She had, was it Reggie Reg?
Reggie Reg. It was Reggie Reg, Miss Tony, and I think Crosby.
Yeah, I ain't
Crosby, right? Yeah.
And a big dumbass spotlight out front.
Yeah. So my parents were in the military, right? You know, they didn't have much money. We pull up to this crib, right? And we drive, and it was like, so we stop at the first house. No, that was the maid's house. Then you keep on going and get to, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
That's wild, yeah. But that's why I don't know how to act. That's why I don't act right. I don't know how. Y'all fucked me up. Y'all fucked me up at a young age, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Please. The fact
Yeah,
that
she will do that.
I think I speak for all of us. Like, this has been one of the best, if not the best, not only because we have that familiar relationship with you, but because you're still naive, I'm still like quietly inquisitive, like still like I'm not gonna say what I want out loud, but when I say it, it's gonna be fucking meaningful. Still not putting up with any bullshit, even though you say it cost you. That's the same shit, man.
Yeah, I'm poor. My if you want to donate to my my Venmo, my Cash App is.
Put it out there. You
That's
never
what the
know.
kids say. We'll put it in the write-up. Which do you have a preference of write-ups? I was just gonna copy and paste from one of the many articles.
No, don't copy and paste, motherfucker. Do the work. Right?
You gotta so I gotta do their own. Well, you should be providing a write-up about yourself. Nah, you should be providing. You're supposed to provide the write-up.
You're a good interview, my nigga. You're very
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Thanks, man.
That's what I'm saying.
This is dope. Y'all doing this.
Oh yeah,
It's,
man.
really, it's interesting. Y'all like chose some really cool topics, and this shit go. I was having fun.
I showed them today. What's funny is that like we still don't have many followers because it's just YouTube, and I'm not really promoting it like that. But people are like following, and then like some people are hating now, which like makes me feel great. I was like, oh, we got something now. Right?